Alright, in this project we're going to be working with 3D text and also other 3D elements. So I'm going to create a new composition, 1280 by 720, 24 frames a second. I'll make it 10 seconds. Okay. Alright, first thing I need to do is I've got my new comp, so I'm going to create a text layer. So to get the text tool, I'm going to hit Command T and put some text in there. And I'm going to make it much smaller. I need to collapse some windows first. Okay. Okay. Alright, sorry, I'm having some trouble here. Okay, so I'm going to create my text, select it, and I'm going to make it much smaller so I can fit quite a bit of text on here. And I'm going to go to lipsum.com. I'm just going to grab a big chunk of text here and paste it in there. And now I want to adjust the leading, and also I'm going to make this text box much larger and make the size a bit smaller as well. Alright, then we're going to hit enter. And we could even double this text. Alright. Next thing to do is convert this to a 3D layer. So I'm going to click this icon right here to make it 3D, and you'll notice there's these three handles. There's the green, red, and blue, representing the three axes or dimensions. So I'm going to hit R for rotate, bring up these. I'm going to rotate it on the x-axis so that it's angled away from us. And then I'm going to press A to bring up the anchor point. And I want to move the Y to get it to move off into space. So first I need to move this up so that my text will appear a bit larger. So then, and then maybe rotate it slightly. Oops. Okay, let's see how this looks. And it's just a matter of tweaking until we get everything right. Okay. So about there. And that will give me the Star Wars rolling text effect. So I'm going to set the text here just below the frame. I'm going to set a keyframe at the beginning of my composition at this position, or not position, but that anchor point. I'm going to move this to, let's say we'll take 8 seconds, or maybe 10 seconds. And then I'm going to set the keyframe by dragging this way out here. So I want it to take the full 10 seconds to move from the bottom all the way up to the top. So it should look something like that. And if we're to play this, if I do a RAM preview, I'm just going to check the speed. Let's see. It's moving a bit fast, so it may even take longer than 10 seconds, but that's something you can adjust on your own. Another effect we can do is, once it's no longer legible, we can just have it kind of fade out. So if we press T for opacity, click the keyframe where we want it to be in fading, and then drag to where we want it to be completely faded out, and drag this to 0. So if between here and here, it'll just sort of fade. Now additionally, we can add a slight motion blur by checking this and then checking this. And that's a reason we don't want it to move too fast. This is going to give us an idea of how quickly it's moving along. So I could have it so that by the time it gets to here, it hasn't moved quite so far. So let's see here. So maybe it's gotten to here. So I'm just going to delete that, move this over. So now it's taking the entire 10 seconds only to move that far. Alright, the next thing I want to do is add a star background. So I've already gone on Google and I've searched for a star background. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. Actually, I need to do a little more than that. I need to take it into Photoshop first and paste it. And what I need to do is make it so that this starry background loops. Now this isn't going to be as hard since there isn't a lot of overlap, but I just need to go to Filter, Other, Offset, and just make sure this is going to loop okay, which it looks like it is. So I'm going to save this as a JPEG, and I'll just save it on the desktop for now. And then I'll go ahead and mess with this first. We've got stars, place those in here. Make sure that fills the screen. And if I wanted, I could also turn the opacity on this down so it's not as distracting. Oops. Alright, and then we want to do the thing with the planet. So I'm going to create in here a new solid. Make that. Actually, I'm going to make it the full composition size. Hit OK. And what I want to do is go to Effects. And actually, first off, I need to go get this image of Jupiter. I'm going to copy that and bring it into Photoshop. What I'm going to do is basically make it so that this fills up the entire image. So, well, one way to do that is just to kind of expand it that way. And I want to make it so this will loop. So I'm going to go to Filter, Other, Offset, and I only want it to loop horizontally. So I'm going to hit OK, and I'm basically going to span these two edges. Actually, let me redo this. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to use the clone tool or the stamp tool and just kind of patch these edges up. Alright, so now it's somewhat seamless. So if I go to Other, Offset, I can keep this going and it will loop. So I'm going to hit OK, save this as planet. I'm actually going to delete that solid. And I'm going to import planet, bring that in. And then I'm going to go here and go to, what was it? It was distort, or no, it was perspective. CC sphere. Apply that here, and now we've got a planet. The next thing I can do is maybe scale that up. And then right here, where is it? No, not the offset. Rotation. That will be the Y rotation. Yeah. So what I want to do is kind of have a very subtle rotation over the whole time span. So I'm going to set my marker at 0, set a keyframe here, and then drag it to the end, and then have it rotate a few degrees to the right. And finally, I'm just going to render this whole animation. So I'm going to go to Composition, Add to Render Queue, and then save this as space.mov. Under lossless, I want this to be H.264, and then hit OK and hit render. Okay, and once it's rendered, here it is on my desktop. I'm going to open that up. Here it is. Do full screen and hit play. Now obviously this text is moving too fast and our stars are kind of pixelated, and also this is having trouble playing just because I'm doing a screen capture, but that's the basic idea. So for your project you'll want to obviously clean that up and make everything look nice and presentable. Thanks.